Tonight we're not doing a whodunit, we're doing a what the hell does that even mean breakdown. This is Granny's side of the legal mess between her and Brittany, the lawsuits, the cease and desist, the default judgment, and what all that actually looks like in real life, not lawyer speak. I'm going to walk you through each section in normal language, while you hear Granny explain it in her own words. You don't have to be a lawyer to follow along, just decide for yourself what sounds like accountability and what sounds like weaponizing the courts. And quick reminder, this is commentary, not legal advice. We're here to understand the story, not tell you what to do with your lawyer. In this first section, Granny is pushing back on the idea that she's the one harassing Brittany with the courts. She lays out a basic timeline. Brittany filed first, twice, once with the RICO case and again with a lawyer-sent cease and desist. As you listen, pay attention to how different that sounds from the public narrative of Granny just won't stop suing me. This is Granny saying, "You lit the match, I just responded."
I heard that, Agent 99. Brittany, I'm harassing you with legal matters when you initiated both of them. You sound so stupid. I've never, ever heard somebody be so unaware of themselves. Such a victim. You literally started litigation, but I'm harassing you through it by responding to it. I guess if you're losing in litigation, it feels like harassment. Whatever. You're so bizarre. Get a life. Kathy, thank you so much for becoming a member. He gets on his channel and bitches that Sumner County ain't doing shit. Well, neither is Seth, and Sumner County ain't even talking to him, so how does he know? No, she doesn't live in reality. She is pathetic. She's very pathetic. Imagine initiating litigation with somebody twice and then pretending that you're the victim of it. I mean, that's exactly what covert narcissists, that's what they do, right? Because they just keep twisting reality until you eventually give up. Exactly, Jinx. We all know that. We all know that. I don't like him trying to make legislation. What the hell does he think he's doing? That, again, makes me think something. There's no legislation to make from him. The only legislation that should be made is that... never mind, I won't say it. I won't say it. Thank you, Preppy. Miss W, been thinking of you. Glad things are getting better. Thank you, Miss W. Fact that Seth's parents and sisters are nowhere supporting him. They left a long time ago. Oh, is that what he was doing, DD? Narcissistic amnesia. That's interesting. I'll have to take a look at that, Lip Locks. There is definitely something. I don't know what it is with that girl, but I mean, it makes you wonder, right? How do you initiate litigation twice with somebody and then say, because they're more successful at it, that you're the one being harassed? I don't get that. I did not see anybody's post, to be honest. Me too, Lindsay. Hey, Ruby. It's a shame that so much time goes by without anybody even speaking about the missing child. And then all of a sudden, you know, they all kind of do it around the same time. Very organized. Hey, Christy. I'm using the course against her. Okay. Using the courts. Hope you have a blessed week ahead. Thank you, Chanley. Thank you, B10. Whatever, Brittany. Whatever. If you put narcissistic amnesia in your YouTube search bar, several interesting videos will come up. I will definitely do that. She's just delusional. It's astonishing the lack of comprehension when she has served the docs and can read them for herself. Yeah. Listen, with her, she's going to twist reality until she's unable to twist it anymore, and that's okay. Trying to argue against somebody like her is stupid, because they're so good at lying that they convince themselves of their lies. The masses know what it is. The courts know what it is, and the courts will figure out what it is if they don't already. We would have never ended up in a courtroom if she didn't initiate the litigation. And not only that, but then try to do it a second time. She says dumb shit like, oh, Granny, is trying to trick me into jurisdiction. Brittany, there was no established jurisdiction. You didn't file anything in the courthouse. It's not a trick. There's no trick going on. I'm not like you. I'm not a dirtball that uses the courthouse to trick people. You're already in Pennsylvania litigation. You're already signed to my jurisdiction. I don't need to trick you into anything. You thought you were going to trick me into losing my YouTube channel by sending out a C&D and nobody responded to it. That's what you thought was going to happen. And I said, yeah, bitch, I don't think so. You and your little team of little scumbag people aren't going to keep throwing me into frivolous litigation in different states. The minute you threaten litigation, you better be able to follow up with it. And the fact that you weren't says everything about how you are abusing the court of process. What you're doing is malicious prosecution, and of course we'll know that.
Here, Granny starts talking about jurisdiction and malicious prosecution, which can sound super technical, but the concept is simple, using the courts to punish someone instead of to solve a real legal problem. She's basically arguing that Brittany didn't just go to court once, she used multiple filings and threats as a way to control the narrative and drain time and money. Listen for how she ties the Pennsylvania case and the later C&D together as part of a pattern, not isolated events.
We would have never ended up in a courtroom if she didn't initiate the litigation. And not only that, but then try to do it a second time. She says dumb shit like, oh, Granny, is trying to trick me into jurisdiction. Brittany, there was no established jurisdiction. You didn't file anything in the courthouse. It's not a trick. There's no trick going on. I'm not like you. I'm not a dirtball that uses the courthouse to trick people. You're already in Pennsylvania litigation. You're already signed to my jurisdiction. I don't need to trick you into anything. You thought you were going to trick me into losing my YouTube channel by sending out a C&D and nobody responded to it. That's what you thought was going to happen. And I said, yeah, bitch, I don't think so. You and your little team of little scumbag people aren't going to keep throwing me into frivolous litigation in different states. The minute you threaten litigation, you better be able to follow up with it. And the fact that you weren't says everything about how you are abusing the court of process. What you're doing is malicious prosecution. And of course, we'll know that. And they will fucking do something about it. So go ahead and cry into your little audience, when you're still awake to do so. And bless it be.
In this part, Granny explains the unglamorous side of court, paperwork and being served. She says there is already a default judgment entered, and that efforts are being made to serve Brittany with it. The key point here? Ducking certified mail or ignoring the doorbell doesn't erase a court decision. It just means the judgment exists without you ever showing up to defend yourself, and that's the box Granny says Brittany is in right now.
Oh, by the way, Brittany, avoiding service of the final judgment doesn't prevent the judgment, Toots. That's a courtesy to do that. Like the certified default judgment copy we're sending you is a courtesy send. So avoiding it doesn't avoid the judgment. I hope you understand that. Sorry, I'm reading something. Sorry. If I don't see it, it can't hurt me. That's how she dealt with motherhood too, ain't it? You piece of shit. Oh, gosh. Bless it be. Bless it be. Did she say out loud? I don't know if she said it out loud. I just know that she's avoiding it, and it's not going to change anything. Pick Me says, y'all need to check and make sure you're still subscribed to Granny's Watching because somehow mine got unsubscribed. Pick Me, thank you for telling me that. She's got no money, so she don't know what you'll think you'll get from her. Yeah, well, your boyfriend Craigie brags in the background about all the monies he got, right? Believe me, Brittany, if you think that my attorney's not 10 steps ahead of you, you are surely mistaken. Surely mistaken. But that's okay.
This is the Bring Your Calculator segment. Granny reads from her attorney's letter and shows what all of this has cost just in court and service fees, before you even add in the lawyer's time. If you've heard she's wasting all this money on nothing, this is where you can pause and ask, whose filings started the meter? Listen as Granny walks through the C&D, the declaratory judgment, the default, and how each step comes with a dollar amount attached that doesn't just disappear because someone doesn't like the outcome.
It has come to my attention, Miss Jackson, and reality, not faced in it. You have a distorted idea of what you will owe in the above referenced matter. Prior to that resolution, be mindful Miss Jackson had a lawyer send a C&D to you with no intention of taking action, which is highly circumspect, okay? Meaning the courts don't fucking like it. The courts don't fucking like it, okay? They don't like when you do shit like that. They don't like when you use their courts, not once but twice now, to harass somebody. If you don't think filing a bogus lawsuit in Pennsylvania that was immediately smacked down as a SLAPP suit and then following up with a C&D that you had no intent to follow through on, if you don't think the courts are going to recognize that for what it is, you are mistaken and stupid. Anyhow, the lawyer sent you a C&D, and despite the fact Miss Jackson asserted this lawyer was representing her, we heard crickets. Then Miss Jackson was served with this litigation, and again, we heard crickets. After the deafening silence, Miss Jackson asserted she was representing herself, yet no such document nor an answer was filed with the Office of Judicial Support. As a result, we entered default judgment. Not that it has any impact on the default, but Miss Jackson is now avoiding service of the certified default judgment. Her avoiding this service has no legal impact, as personal service of the certified judgment is not required, but only being attempted, so she could not claim that she had no idea default was entered. At this time, the breakdown of filing fees and costs. Ready? This is just filing fees and costs, Brittany. I'll help you understand them. It costs $312.11 to file a declaratory judgment. There is a service charge when the filing is done electronically, so the fee is always an amount greater than the OGS charge. It cost me $170 to personally service you with the declaratory action. Costs $170 more to personally service with notice to take default. Okay, you adding up the math yet? We're over 500, but let's keep going. It then costs $18.38 to press a P for default judgment. I then spend another $170 to have you personally serviced with a certified default judgment. And then $2.40 to send it to you first class. That's court and costs. That's not attorney fees. That's just the court and costs. But, this does not include attorney fees or my costs such as paper. The attorney fees will be part of our damages assessment. Be advised, punitive damages are not readily available in declaratory actions. However, I intend to use this case in the damages portion of the at-night media litigation. Ms. Jackson should be mindful of Burke Co. First Turk, a 2023 case that addressed the ratio of punitive damages assigned to liable litigants. The court concluded the proper approach is to consider punitive damages on a per defendant rather than per judgment basis. They recognize that punitive damages can be fashioned to the potential harm a litigant could have suffered as a result of the other's action and weighing a punitive damage award. Well, I know you don't understand any of this because you don't keep up. Probably snoring right now. It should be noted, this is a rationale is consistent with the United States Supreme Court precedent. While also conforming, courts can look to unrealized risk in analyzing the proper amount of punitive damages. This allows a litigant to argue that punitive damages should be measured, not just against any actual harm, which is remedied by compensatory damages, but also by what could have occurred, right? So when you sit up there and you tell everybody how you're going to take away my channel, when your stupid boyfriend's sitting there saying I'm going to lose 2 lawsuits and then my life, all of that is gathered and ready for a damage hearing. Consequently, we can make arguments that Judge Eckel fashioned punitive damages on conduct like the salacious lies of Miss Jackson contained in her affidavit, along with what she did in this litigation because she sent the C&D, because she did not get the results she wanted and the PA RICO litigation. In addition, we will ask that Judge Eckel award punitive damages in greater amounts to those asserting on video that they will just waste your money and tie you up in courts, making you a basketball. You know what that means, Brittany? Finally, should Ms. Jackson attempt to bring claims based on the declaratory action in North Carolina, such matter can easily be removed to Pennsylvania. Even if not removed under the full faith and credit clause of the United States Constitution, the North Carolina court would have to recognize the default judgment barring Brittany from seeking relief based on her C&D claims. Tell me again it was $100 or $200, Brittany, you dumbass. Do you need the total of what was actually spent so far? The total just on filing fees and service costs, Brittany, is $842.89. Okay? All right, Toots? You wish it was $180. And they won't. They'll make an example out of her because we'll use what she did in the RICO. We'll use what she did where the courts recognized it as a SLAPP. We'll use what her and her friends have done since then, and that she thought she was going to try this in North Carolina this time. You can't just go jurisdiction hopping. And that's what she thought she would do. Put the snakes and ladders away. I bet you Brittany never sat down and played a fucking board game a day in her life. Aries. I think BJ needs to sue Hong, Tony, Nick, the cat, and Lesniak. Can I have the link? Fair warning, I'm in a mood, so.
The letter basically says, here's what we filed, here's what it cost, you ignored it so we got default, and we're going to use all of this later to ask the judge for more money in damages and punishment. This section is short but heavy. Granny reads out what Pennsylvania law says about perjury, lying under oath, and the possible penalties, felony charges, prison time, and big fines. The message is pretty blunt. Once you step into a courtroom or sign something under oath, it's not just internet beef anymore. If the judge decides you lied, it's not a clap back, it's a crime.
Oh, let's see what it is in Pennsylvania. Hold on, I think I have it right here. A penalty under perjury in Pennsylvania is a potential sentence for making a false statement under oath in a civil case. The penalty for perjury in Pennsylvania is a third-degree felony, which can result in a jail sentence or up to 7 years and a fine up to $1,500, Brittany.
Wow.
$15,000, Brittany. $15,000. Okay.
Here, Granny and her side talk about what happens after a default judgment, the damages hearing. That's where the judge decides how much money is owed, court costs, attorney fees, and maybe punitive damages on top. They also talk about that classic line, you can't get blood from a turnip. In plain English, they're arguing that being broke or saying you're broke doesn't magically shield you from a judgment. If a court decides money is owed, it can come from income streams, donation apps, or property down the line.
The next step is a damage hearing with the judge. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh.
You can't get blood from a turnip. That's where you're mistaken, Toots. That's where you're mistaken. Because a clever person can take a turnip and make a profit off of one. So don't ever mistake the ways to get money from pieces of shit like you. And it's pieces of shit like you that say things like that also get brought before the judge. One of you motherfuckers that say, "Oh, but I'm judgment proof because I don't have anything." Yeah, you think so? Okay. Told you before. We'll take the stale crackers out of your fucking cabinet.
I don't want the stale crackers, Jess.
Oh, I'll take them.
Oh,
I love people like her. She's so stupid. You're so dense.
I just wonder who they're getting legal advice from. Like
nobody. ChatGPT, and even that, they're not getting it correctly.
Oh shit! Not ChatGPT.
It is. It absolutely is. And even then, they're still getting it wrong because they're so stupid. They don't even know how to type in the question properly. So therefore, they're getting the answer they want to get. Exactly, Tim. I know. Believe me, there's ways, and You can keep saying you have nothing, Brittany. You have nothing. Well, yeah, everybody will find out. Don't you worry.
Well, what I think that people don't realize is, I mean, there's a procedure, but you can levy bank accounts, vehicles, things that are in your home that are not necessarily required to live. You know.
Yep. You got a minivan. You got Cash App, PayPal, Venmo. All the ways you advertise every day when you go live, how people can give to you. You got all of those.
Donations. So when people give her money, that's income.
Yeah, I can attach to her Cash App. I can attach to her Venmo. But, you know, I won't educate you much, Brittany. Get a fucking attorney with all the money you stole from your community.
Even if someone claims I'm broke, a judgment can still reach online income, donations, and property. In this last section, Granny explains why she filed a declaratory judgment in Pennsylvania instead of just waiting. From her point of view, Brittany was already using multiple states and multiple threats, PA for RICO, another state for the C&D, creating a game of legal hopscotch. Filing in PA was her way of saying, no. We're not going to do this in 5 different states. One court, one ruling, and let a judge decide what's real. Watch how she frames it as protection from being dragged around the map, not as a random attack.
How can I change jurisdiction when there was no jurisdiction? Put a 1 in the chat if you understand that. There was never any jurisdiction for me to change the I mean, yeah, was it declaratory action? Was that smart to get into PA? Of course it was. I'm sorry you weren't smart enough to figure out that it's not okay to send out C&Ds to try to intimidate somebody. You got to find out the hard way sometimes. You should have learned after the first round, but you don't because you're an idiot. But that's okay. A lot of ones, they understand it. You can't necessarily change jurisdiction. You didn't give up North Carolina jurisdiction. You should have fought what was in front of you, but you decided to ignore it. And you think the courts appreciate being ignored? I don't.
Filing in PA was a way for Granny to get ahead of being sued in multiple states off the same accusations. So when you strip away the legal jargon, here's what Granny's story boils down to. She says Brittany turned the courts into a content weapon, and then cried harassment when Granny answered back inside the same system Brittany chose. We've heard about RICO filings, cease and desist letters, a declaratory judgment, default, perjury warnings, and a potential damages hearing, all of which live in the real world, with real consequences that don't vanish just because someone clicks end stream. You don't have to take anyone's word as gospel, including mine. Look at the pattern, listen to the filings being described, and decide for yourself whether this is accountability, abuse of the legal system, or something in between. Thanks for watching, and remember, this isn't legal advice, it's a history lesson. What you do with the information, and who you choose to believe, is entirely up to you.